I've loved Richard Saul Wurman ever since I got an email a few years ago, out of the blue, all caps, of course, commanding me to look him up on Wikipedia if I hadn't heard of him. So I followed orders.
And then we had breakfast.
Yeah, well, yeah, you told me I had to. I've been following orders ever since. So thank you for having me up here. Yeah. As Richard mentioned, I've spent much of the last few years subjecting myself to pain and humiliation. But hopefully for a good cause, self-improvement. I need a lot of self-improvement. So the project has taken 3 parts. So the first part, Richard mentioned, was to work on the mind. And I decided to do this, I could read the encyclopedia from A to Z, or more precisely from Aak to Ziviec. So there's a...
Where does Zitham come? I thought Zitham was the end.
No,
ancient
Ziviec.
Egyptian malt beer.
Ziviec is after Zywiec. I don't want to tell you what it is because I don't want to ruin the ending. But it's a beer. It's a town in Poland that makes excellent beer. Anyway, I figured I'll never climb Mount Everest like Scott, but this could be my intellectual Everest. So I did it, and it was a fantastic year, fascinating, painful, especially for those around me. My wife started to fine me $1 for every irrelevant fact I inserted into conversation. So she made quite a bit of money. But it was also wonderful because I got to spend the year with these amazing historical characters, and it was like a TED conference, but for all of history. So I loved it. I have forgotten 99% of what I learned, but I cling to that 1%. That 1% makes me feel good. That's a lot better than where I was. And by the way, I still remember my favorite medical fact, which is that in 1898, the Bayer Pharmaceutical Company invented a very effective cough suppressant. Does anyone know what it was called? Heroin, that's right. It turned out it had some side effects. So they had to take it off the market. These things happen. Unintended consequences are a part of science, right? So after that, I decided to work on my spirit, because I grew up with no religion or spirituality. As I say in my book, I'm Jewish in the same way the Olive Garden is Italian. So, not very. But I wanted to learn about my heritage, so I decided I learn it from the inside by trying to live the Bible. So I decided to follow every rule in the Bible. As Richard mentioned, it was very difficult. I had to do a year without coveting and gossiping and lying. And I live in New York City, and I work as a journalist. So, that's like 80% of my day. And I also had to follow the lesser-known rules, like the Bible says you cannot shave the corners of your beard. And I didn't know where the corners were, so I just let the whole thing grow. And by the end, I looked like Moses or like Aubrey de Grey. I realized I look a little. He was an inspiration. I can get a... There I am. So I spent some time at airport security, as you might imagine. So after that, I decided I got to finish the Trinity. I got to work on my body. And my body needed a lot of work because I had ignored it for 40 years. I saw it as a vessel to carry around the brain. But I realized, it is deteriorating. I was getting sick all the time. I wasn't fat, but I was skinny fat, where you have which is the worst kind of fat. So I decided I'm going to try to spend a year being the healthiest person alive. And so that's what I've been doing. And actually, I am not finished. I'm in the middle of this year. I still have 5 months to go. So I have never talked about this publicly before. But I did it by assembling a board of advisors. So I have doctors and I have trainers, and I've taken batteries of tests. Here is a shot of me taking a brain test. Here's another one taking, this is a sleep test I took. Shockingly, I didn't get a great night's sleep that night. I have a crazy hypothesis that it had something to do with 5 pounds of equipment on my face, but that's just a hypothesis. But I try to do these things fully, and this really is, it takes up my entire day. In fact, that's why I'm kind of 6 months late with my book, is I keep telling my publisher, you know, stress is the worst thing for your health. So stop bringing up the deadline, you're just delaying the book. But it really is, it's a full-time job to be healthy. You've got to do every day aerobic exercise, anaerobic exercise, meditation, as Dean Ornish talked about. You got to pet dogs. We learned that a couple of days ago. That lowers the blood pressure. You got to have sex. That one doesn't work out every day for me. But, you know, I have 3 young kids. So. But also eating, you have to prepare the food and you have to eat the food. I mean, to properly have a fully healthy meal, that's no small feat, because we are a nation of under-chewers. There's actually a radical fundamentalist pro-chewing movement on the internet, Chewdeism, that's what they call it, not me. And they believe to fully get the nutritional benefits of food, we have to chew like 70 times. So I tried this for a week, and it was insane, because you know, it's like an hour and a half to eat an apple. So I don't recommend that. But the general gist is right. We should be chewing more, just because it slows down our eating. It lets our brain catch up to our stomach. So I am pro-chewing. I try to do all of these things fully and like a guinea pig. So I've tried dozens of exercise routines. Here's one, stroller sizing. That's big with New York City moms. Here's one on, this is the Caveman Workout. Have you? You might have heard of these guys in New York, the modern-day caveman. They believe that our bodies were evolved to live in Paleolithic times, so we should all be. They eat a lot of raw meat. And they work out like this. You know, you don't go to the gym. You go to the park and you throw around boulders, and you hunt gazelles or squirrels. So I did that. I have also tried out all these diets, you know, the raw food diet, and I did the extreme calorie restriction diet. You might be familiar with this. This is the idea that if you starve yourself, you will live a lot longer, whether or not you want to. So I went to dinner with these guys. I went at their house, and for the appetizer, we each had a blueberry. And then for the main course, we went crazy. We had a walnut. So that was delicious. I've also tested hundreds of products. And I don't want to alarm you, but since you're medical professionals, and Scott showed something similar, I think, this is my favorite product I've tested. This is actually the G-rated photo. I'm happy to show you the unrated later if you have any takers. But this is called Nature's Platform, and you put it over your toilet. And the idea is that we were built to squat. We were not built to sit. Sitting in the bathroom is a very recent invention, just like 400 years. And there is actual research and evidence to back up that this is a healthier way to go to the bathroom, because you do not get hemorrhoids. And it's faster. A little harder to read, I find. It's a little harder to balance. But, so if that's something you like, then that's going to be a little more difficult. But so as I say, I'm not done. I have 5 months, so I don't know my final conclusions, but I'll finish up by sharing with you 5 things that I've learned so far. And the first is that it's not a huge mystery what constitutes healthy living. I mean, Tony Robbins talked about it. I could sum it up in about 4 words. Eat less, move more, right? And maybe relax, a 5th word, that's important. And when you eat, by the way, do not eat the American diet, which is the worst diet. You couldn't have invented a worse diet. I was thinking maybe David Blaine eating glass. That's kind of a worse diet than the American diet. I would not recommend that. But other than that, eat whole foods. So the mystery is, how do we do that? How do we motivate ourselves to live in a healthy way? So that's what I have some ideas that have been effective for me. And the first one is to quantify. And this Thomas Getz talked about in his wonderful presentation. You know, just keeping track of your health, of the numbers, makes you act in a healthier way. So just a pedometer, I got a pedometer and it changed my life. I want to get to those 10,000 steps a day. It's like a game. I also bought a Fitbit. I don't know if you know those. They're the little digital things that keep track of all of your calories and input and output. And my favorite part about them, by the way, is that on their website they have a list of all these activities and how much calories they burn. And not just like walking and running, they have like hundreds. Like baking Indian bread in an outdoor oven is 246 calories per hour. Horse grooming is 422 calories per hour, so that takes a lot. Sexual activity, passive light effort, that is only 71. But sexual activity vigorous, that is like 145, so that's not bad. Also, always be moving. That's number 2. Always be moving. Because in our society, we compartmentalize our exercise. So we go to the gym for an hour and we're like, all right, I'm done. And we sit on our asses for 23 hours. That's not good. More and more studies are showing that the sedentary lifestyle is a really dangerous lifestyle. It's a huge risk factor. So we've got to always be moving. So I've tried to incorporate moving into every part of my life. I'm trying to move right now. I started running errands, literally running errands. I mean, that's what they're called. Running. So I run to the drugstore, I buy the toothpaste, I run home. There's a doctor at the Mayo Clinic who started this movement of treadmill desks. So I sort of jury-rigged this one, and I love it. I mean, people say, can you concentrate? And actually, I concentrate better because I'm very fidgety. So this sort of, now I don't have the urge to go get a snack in the kitchen. It's walking and working. It really focuses me. Honor the elderly. This one, actually, I don't mean it in the biblical sense of honoring your parents, which is also good, but I mean honor the elder version of you. There's a great economist named Tom Schelling who has a theory that we have multiple selves. We have the current self who wants to sit on the couch and just eat pizza, but we have the future self who wants to exercise and to lose weight. So we've got to respect that future self. We've got to pay more attention. You know, be kind to your future self like you would anyone. And I take this literally. I actually took a picture of myself and aged it digitally, and I put it over my desk, and so he sort of inspires me. It's not, if anyone knows any better software for aging, I would appreciate it, but Richard thinks that's disgusting. Listen, aging is not a pretty thing. Also, you can take that off now, by the way. Seriously. All right, good. But also you can be kind to yourself in an hour. There's no that self is going to be so much happier if you work out because the cortisol levels are going to be down. It's like an antidepressant. So be kind to yourself in an hour. Design a healthy environment. That's number 4. Because you got to treat yourself like a lab rat. You know, we respond to stimuli. So smaller plates mean smaller portions. There's a study that says if you eat in front of a mirror, you're going to eat less because you're more aware of what's going into your mouth. So I often have lunch in front of the mirror. Excellent company. And I eat less. And finally, peer pressure. That has a negative connotation, but it can be used for such good, especially with technology now. You know, I'm part of this Twitter group where we tweet our health sins. You know, forgive me, I had a Danish this morning, and then your friends can mock and humiliate you, or better, you know, you can say, oh, I ran 4 miles, and they can support you. And my final thought before I leave is that one of the takeaways from this wonderful conference for me is that all of this must be done with joy. Because as Thomas Getz says, fear is a bad motivator. So do it with joy. I interviewed one doctor who is, he came up with the term orthorexia, which is a term I love. It means an unhealthy obsession with healthy food. If you are so obsessed with eating healthy food that it's preventing you from having dinner with friends, that's not healthy. Because connections and social interaction is such a big part of being healthy. So do it with joy. So I'm going to try to do it with joy for another few months, and I'll give you an update then, unless I die, which would be embarrassing. Or a good ending, I'm not sure which. All right, thank you very much.
Oh, that was so good.